So you may have seen me make some things in the past like this or this, but today I wanted to walk you through the process in case you wanted to build something like this for yourself. It's not actually that hard, and I'm going to try and do this in a way where it can be accessible regardless of how familiar you are with coding. So let's get into it. So after we go through this, you can honestly make anything, but today we're going to make our dream reading tracker. First things first, we need to come up with a vision. We can definitely tweak things as we go, but I think it definitely helps to have as clear of a vision as you can before you get started. For me, I really want this to do two things. I want it to be able to track the books I read, and I want it to look cute. So what that means is our site needs a way to add in a new book once I've read it, and a way to display all of the books so it looks cute. I'm really aiming for something simple and doable, but something that you can build upon with whatever you want it to look like. So for me, the next thing I like to think about is the vibe. So I don't have a background in product design, so it's not really that natural for me to go into a design tool like Figma and just mock out everything that I want. I'm more of the build something out, take a step back, see how it looks, adjust it, and move forward type person. But I do like to go in with a vibe or concept. So for the bingo board, I knew I really wanted it to have a bit of a vintagey retro feel because I really wanted to capture the memories I had of playing bingo in like elementary school. Typically, if I don't have a clear idea of what I want to go for immediately, I'll try to search for some inspiration. So I like to go to sites like Dribble to just look for some new ideas. So today I thought we could look up like bookshelf. Sometimes I also like to just filter down to like mobile or web design so I can get some inspo that is slightly more relevant. But I'm not really seeing, this is nice. I'm not really seeing anything that is really jumping out at me. And when this happens, I like to go to my secret source of design inspiration, which is book covers. I love book covers as a source of inspiration. Like there are just so many of them and they're so easy to find. And I love using them to pull colors or fonts or aesthetics. I also just love that it's a different medium. So when I am building software, if I'm using book covers as a source of inspiration, it gives me more room to sort of translate that inspiration versus being too anchored by the source material. Love this vibe, but maybe not for this project. I am really excited to read this book. Still haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm kind of really into this. I like the bold pinks. Ooh, bold typography, love this. So this is what I'm thinking. I kind of saw a cool like frosted glass effect the other day, and I think it would be cool to use that. And maybe we put that on top of some of these like gradients that we're seeing. Maybe we can animate them to give it a bit of movement. And then we can display the books on top of that in like a grid. That might sound confusing right now, but don't worry, let's get into it. So now that we have an idea of what we want to build, it's time to get started. So let's talk about tools. This may sound like a lot, but stick with me because once we do this, then we get to actually build and we'll see it come to life and it'll be really exciting, I promise. First up, I'm going to be using Cursor, which is an AI code editor. I think it's the most accessible to a wide range of experiences. It does cost money though, but I think it's totally worth it. But there is also a free trial that you could use. There are ways of working around this though, if you still want AI to generate code for you. But it'll just involve some copying and pasting using your ChatGPT or Claude free accounts. But anyway, today I'm going to be showing Cursor. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go to cursor.com and download Cursor. I already have it downloaded, so now I'm just going to jump into it. All I've done so far is created an empty folder called Reading Tracker, and now I'm going to open that empty folder. Okay, so quick overview as to how this works. The files that will be created will be here on the left. In the middle will be the actual code, which you can choose to touch as much or as little as you want. but where we're primarily going to be doing our work is here on the right. Because I have a background in software engineering, I like to have more control, and so typically I'm writing most of my code. But today, because I want this to be accessible to as many people as possible, I'm going to be using the chat window pretty much exclusively. Now we need to create our initial project. I'll be including a starter prompt in the description below. I'll try to refine this a little bit and test it out just to make sure that it will totally work for you. This is one that I just wrote up, but I think it's going to work. So now we have our starter project. Let's take a look at what we have so far. So I'm going to ask it to open the app in the browser. So now it is running at this URL, so we can open it. So this is our basic starter app, but this is where the fun starts. Now we can actually start building it. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is mock out what all of this will look like. So like I said, what I was sort of envisioning is in the center of the page having a grid of books that I've read. I want to display the books by their book covers, and I'm thinking I want a 3x3 grid. Let's start with that and see what it looks like. Okay, let's take a look. It's a little bigger than I imagined. I was kind of envisioning a container that's in the middle of the page, and that container is scrollable. I don't love how I have to scroll to see all of the book covers. So let me adjust that. This is more like it. Now, the next thing I kind of want to do is the frosted glass effect and the animated gradient background. So it's coming together. The purple and the pink looks a little crazy. I don't know how I feel about this animated gradient. We are going to press forward, but I might just change it to be a solid color after all. Before I continue tweaking the UI, I think we should go in and add the ability to add books. So I am aiming for a very simple app here. There's no like additional database that we need to use. So let's work on that feature next. It's really helpful to provide as clear of instructions as you can. So I'm being very clear that this is the feature that we're trying to add. And initially we want this grid of books to be empty, and it'll just have a button to add a new book. And when we click on that button, we'll open a pop-up, aka a dialog, and that will prompt the user to add in the book that I have read. And it'll contain a URL link to an image of that book cover. It'll contain a place where I can add in my rating, and there will be an optional notes section for any notes I might have. Okay, great. So now let's try adding in a book. Okay, great. Now we've added our book. Now I just want to take a look at one thing it said in the chat, which was when I refresh the page, this data is going to be lost. So we do want to persist the data. So to keep this simple, we're not going to attach a database. Instead, we're going to use local storage. And what that means is your data is just going to be saved locally in your browser. It's a lot simpler to implement. There's just one small downside, which is if you try to go to your site from your phone, your data won't be there because all of the data is saved locally on the browser. Okay, great. So let's just confirm that everything still works. I'm gonna grab that cover image. Okay, so this is looking great. Like, this is the foundation of what I wanted to build. We really just need to work on the UI. Let's make this cute. So we have a few updates. The first is the fonts. I made all of the title fonts bricolage grotesque. I love it. I think it's so funky. And I thought that paired well with something a bit more subtle and calm. So this one's Nunito for the rest of our fonts. I also updated the add a new book pop-ups to match the styling a bit more. And same with the edit book page. And I also added in a little bit of animation. So as you scroll through, the books kind of tilt as if you're kind of picking it up to look at it. So for an hour or two of work, I think this is pretty great. Like, it has the basic functionality I would want, which is being able to add a new book that I've read and add in my rating and my notes. The second thing I said I wanted, though, was I wanted it to look cute. And I think it doesn't look bad. I think it's a great start. I think from here, you can totally take it and run with it in a direction that you love. Personally, I'm regretting the animated gradient background. I'm going to try to ignore it for now because I'm going to try to deploy this site now. I want to be able to find this URL in the browser and be able to access and update my bookshelf. So let's do that. So now we want to deploy our site. We need two more tools here. First, we're going to use GitHub, which is a way to store this version of code now that we've written it and we're happy with it and we want to deploy it. So I'm in my GitHub account and I selected to create a new repository since this is a new project. So let's call this reading tracker. I'm going to make this public and leave a link in the description box down below if you want to take this as starter code and build more on top of it. And then I'm just going to hit create. And I already have code. I just want to connect it with this repository. So I'm going to copy this, go here, and in my terminal, I'm just going to hit paste. And now you can probably use the chat window for this. Can you push my code to my repo? Okay, great. So now if we refresh, it should be there. Okay, great. So now we're going to use our second tool, which is Vercel. So because we just created a new repo, we also need to create a new project in Vercel. This is super easy because I've already connected my GitHub to this Vercel account. This looks good. Deploy. Okay, so it looks like it's done. And so now we can go to the default domain and here it is. So now we can add in our books. So let's add a few in. Okay, so I do have to admit I couldn't ignore that animated gradient background. I did just panic update it in the last 20 minutes. It just really wasn't feeling like the right vibe. Like, it just felt like it was trying to be too serious or sleek. This is where we landed. So I found some free images of a monstera plant and a lamp traced them in Procreate, and went for a more cozy living room feel that kind of matched the casual, silly energy that I prefer. But do you like it the other way better? Let me know in the comments down below. Regardless though, I hope it was interesting to see step by step how I sort of make these projects. I honestly have really been loving making stuff like this. Like, I just love the little decorative aspect. Like making something from scratch and then tweaking and adjusting until I get something that I really love. But anyway, I hope this video made building stuff a little more accessible if you're interested in giving it a try. Like I said, I'll have resources down below to help you out, but please leave a comment if you get stuck or run into any issues. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.